and best political analysts from diverse backgrounds like Vandela Patrick, Dr. Lester Zomatic Tene, Al Hussein Fadiga, Samson Brown Tour, Daniel Sando, and Eugene Lamin Fangon. Nightline Liberia begins at 8 p.m. with 60 minutes around the country, bringing you updates from LBS correspondents.
Issues.
Nightline Liberia's
Nightline Liberia
kicks off.
Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country.
When we work together, there's nothing we can
Nightline Liberia. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country.
When we work together to join me to do the business of the Liberian people, this is why I'm not doing business as usual. I challenge you to join me to do the business of the Liberian people. Love Liberia.
It's Nightline Liberia every Monday to Friday, beginning at 8 p.m. on ELBC Radio, 99.9 FM, and other frequencies
Nightline
around the
Liberia
country.
every Monday to Friday, beginning at 8 p.m. on ELBC Radio, 99.9 frequencies around the country. The Department of New Media and Rebranding of the Liberia Broadcasting System presents Nightline Liberia. From the valleys of Liberia to the top of Wologisi Mountain, Nimba, Grand Cape Mount, River G, to the coast of Sino, Bassa, Bong, Riverses, Maryland, Margibi, Grand Cru, Bapolo, Grand Jide, and Monserrado. We present to you Nightline Liberia.
To Nightline Liberia. On the show, we have some of the brightest and finest panelists in Liberia, and they come here every night, Monday to Friday, to look at the issues that we put on the radar to discuss. I'm happy to be here with Fabien Kuya, my colleague. Fabien, good evening and welcome.
Good evening, tuning, and welcome to everyone that is tuning right now to Nightline Liberia.
And let me say good evening to all our panelists who will join us pretty soon, anytime soon, for tonight's production. Today, it promises to be another day where we want to focus our binoculars on a critical issue in Liberia, the rising incidents of rape and abuse in our country, especially against women. So women and children, so to speak. So that's where our concentration is going to be tonight. When we will have shortly, Fabien will be looking at what the rape law of Liberia says, and we'll provide you a little bit more about the whole incidents. ELBC, as a matter of fact, our radio station and our network is an award winner when it comes to raising the issues of women in the country. So rape is forceful sexual intercourse with someone without consent, and I am just giving you the overhead of it, but Fabien will give you the actual definition by Liberian law. Fabien, if you are set to go, we're looking at rape tonight before coming down later to look at other forms of abuses against Liberian women. Just drill us through what the Liberian law says about rape.
Well, the Liberian law policy in brief, in Liberia, the rape law, it says, under the law, the following acts are defined as rape: intentional penetration of a penis into the vagina, anal mouth, or any opening of another person without that person's consent. Intentionally penetration of another body part, such as a finger on an object, such as a gun, stake, candle, or bottle, into the vagina or anus if another person without that person's consent. Sexual intercourse, including any of the actions described above between a person who is over 18 years of age and a person who is not yet 18 years of age, even if the younger person agreed to the act, was not forced into it. Under the law, the following acts constitute gang rape: when a person agrees with one or more other people to engage in rape or to cause rape to occur; when a person purposely promotes or facilitates rape. And so, under the law, the punishment for rape in certain cases, rape is considered to be a felony of the first degree, which can garner a maximum sentence of life imprisonment. These cases include those in which the victim was less than 18 years old at the time of the offense. The offense involves gang rape. The rape results in permanent or serious bodily injury to the victim. The perpetrator threatened the victim with a firearm or other deadly weapon at the time of the rape or immediately before it. In all other cases, rape is a second-degree felony. This carries a maximum sentence of 10 years imprisonment. So that's a brief explanation about rape and the punishment for rape in certain cases, maybe involving a gang rape. But Tony, it interests you to know that not only women and children, men are also involved.
Men are also involved.
Yeah, men are also involved, and so
that's not often heard of.
Yeah, men are also involved, and that's why.
So, to what extent and how are men involved, that as perpetrators or victims?
Yeah, some are perpetrators and some are victims, and there where you have the act of sodomy being committed.
So sodomy is also considered rape.
Yes,
it's a penetration, so to speak.
Sodomy is also considered rape, but people might think or feel that it is rare in our society, but this is something that is happening in our society.
But that's scaring, because we all this theory about some levels of gay practice and the rest of it. If that is actually going on, then we will be talking about a lot of rape taking place that is unreported.
Sure.
So again, there are, of course, different classifications of rape. You have, for example, date rape. I've heard people, don't blame me, I got drunk, we went out, blame the liquor. That's something that is called date rape, when someone has decided to go out with another person and maybe got them drunk, and then they take advantage of them, they coerce them, they force them into the sexual act, in an act of involuntarily, going through that process. That is also a rape. It is not an excuse to say, I took him out, I took her out, and then you make the person to become abnormal by getting them drunk and taking advantage of them. That is actually called a date rape, and I think it's also illegal.
So let me come to the definitions of consent.
Okay.
Because sometimes it's based on some agreement, and sometimes there's nothing like consent involved. So the definition of consent is: a person is said to have consented to the act if she agrees to it by choice and has the freedom and capacity to make that choice. A person is said not to have consented to the act if violence was used against her at the time of the act or immediately before it. The perpetrator caused her to fear that immediate violence could be used against her. The perpetrator made her fear that violence was being used against another person or would be used against another person. The victim was detained at the time of the act. The victim was asleep or otherwise unconscious at the time of the act. So, due to physical disability, the victim was not able to communicate with the perpetrator whether she consented at the time of the act. The victim was administered or forced to take a substance that who have caused her to be stupefied or overpowered at the time of the act.
As in the case of a date rape.
Yeah.
Okay.
The perpetrator intentionally induced the victim to the consent to the act by impersonating someone else whom the victim knows personally.
So let me just interrupt you. When you talk about, the person being induced, how about somebody using what you call in Liberia cash violence?
I think it's another
somebody?
form of that to inducement.
Okay.
Because once you have the cash and probably, for example, you want to get to somebody, probably she's underage or above age, and it's been some kind of a hard to catch game. Some people use the cash violence to get that person, or sometimes underage, they also use that to influence that child. And so the issue of consent has been spelled out in here that I just read. And we gave several reasons for, or several definitions of rape. And so this is something that is constant in our society. It is on the increase.
So Fabian, we talking cash can be an influence.
Sure.
Position of power, probably I am in the position to employ or offer a job employment, and I begin to demand sex in exchange for job.
Sure.
I think all of these are different kinds of influences.
Yes, sure. They are.
Okay, so you talk about gang rape, where actually a group of people can rape one person, and that becomes gang rape.
Gang rape, yeah.
As the case of a story reported recently by ELBC,
About a little girl.
where a young lady had gone to visit her aunt. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, the aunt had informed her that there was nowhere to sleep. So she thought to go to her grandmother's place to pass the night, and invited a motorcyclist to take her. And on the way, he stopped and said, "Oh, I'm going to bring my friends to escort us." And when the friends came, he who in fact was asked to convey the lady was the one who took the lady's phone away from her and was the first to abuse her before the other people got on board. So that was clear gang rape.
Yeah, sure. I remember that story last week that we carried.
Okay, the other one is a little bit, sometimes you find out how people argue about it. Marital rape. Marital rape. They say, "Oh, I mean, she's my wife. I mean,
I need not to ask her, how can I rape her?
How can I rape her? It's a spousal rape. It's an act of sexual intercourse with one's own spouse without consent. The key element there is consent. She's my wife, we got married and all of that, but once she has not consented and you go ahead, you've committed rape. Can that be punishable by law as well?
Sure. The idea, the word rape is being involved, and secondly, another word, consent. But that is something that if it's happening in our society, normally, especially for married couples, you don't see people bringing that forth. Yeah,
they don't bring cases.
Yeah, you don't see people bringing that forth because they feel they are legally married and two becomes one. And so some people think and feel it's an in-house thing.
But the law is the law.
The fact that they are married, and so.
But the law, that's not.
We agree the law is the law.
The point is the compromise. Okay, yeah. I mean, it's a point. I know our callers are listening. I know people who want to be perhaps on the side of the law will have their own way to look at it. Other people who feel, "Oh, hey, listen, this is not where you bring your law business." Maybe they'll explain it differently. We also have child sexual abuse. This is where you have sexual activity with a child as an adult or an adolescent or even an older child. There are people who, like you were explaining early, they will use their influence, they will use their cash, they will use their power to carry out this kind of activity against children, and that's called child sexual abuse, which is actually a lot heard about in our country today. Do you remember any instance of child abuse?
A lot. And so
okay.
when cases of such, I mean, it's especially from the community or neighborhood and brought from the police station to the court and being tried and sentenced. You have a lot of people saying the rape law is harsh. The rape law is too harsh once it's not bailable. And sometimes you have people going to actually, yeah, I remember some years back, it's been quite a long time. I remember that case vividly where there was this guy involved, but the case came from Carisburg, other town, and it came to Monrovia because, Criminal Code E at the Temple of Justice is strictly for cases of rape.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and this guy was told to take the stand after they went into the case. I remember vividly, it been years back, more than 6-7 years. And then when he took the stand and tried to explain, the victim always testify in camera. But that victim kept saying to her mother that was sitting listening that, oh, mama told me to lie on the man. Excuse me. She told me to lie on the man. My boyfriend making code for us to survive somewhere in Carisburg. And she told me to lie. I will not sit down in the man, spend the rest of his life in jail. And that caused stir in the court.
That was a couple of years back.
Yeah, a couple of years
I think
back.
I did hear.
Yeah, a couple of years back.
Okay.
I think it was a late fire who was then a judge there. Yeah. And I remember we were at the court, and so the noise came from upstairs, and people was wondering what was happening until when people came to explain. So sometimes you find, excuse me, cases like that. A lot of people, I'm quoting people because when we try talking to people, they will say, oh, most of the cases, then the people can just find way to get at people, and that isn't true, and blah, blah, blah. Either the child consented or maybe it didn't go down with some family member or parents.
Can a child consent? A child?
Well, they have their own minds, and they have their mindset, they have thinking. Sometimes you don't read the minds of others. And another thing is that
statutory rape, in terms of
another thing is that I'm coming in. Another thing is that for the kids that are growing these days, sometimes when you see a child and she's below 18, sometimes her body and her appearance or physical appearance fool people.
Yeah, they're deceptive.
Yeah, deceptive. You find that person so big, body they build, and then maybe when they tell you that person is like 13, 14, people baffle over that. But actually they have some children that when you see them, their looks are deceptive, and you think they are more than 18, and sometimes they are less than 18.
No excuse for being. No excuse. The law is the law.
No, I'm just setting an example.
Okay.
I'm just setting an example.
Okay.
Sometimes you see growing up kids, especially females, you think that they are so older. But sometimes they tell you, I'm just 13 or 14, and people get surprised because the children are actually growing, that people refer to them as American chicken, are actually growing. And sometimes people allegedly take advantage and try to exploit them despite of the body looks and what have you. But all in all, the issue of rape is high in our society, very, very high. That's something that's trending around. And so I think there is a need that when the case is being brought forward, let that maybe people that are affected come forth and tell the story.
So I mean, we've heard some arguments that the law is lenient, even though we also heard the rape law.
Is it lenient?
Yeah, because they're saying if it were not lenient, then you will not be hearing of many more cases of rape. That's their own argument. I know that. I think is at one point it was unbailable. Is it still? Is it still unbailable?
Yeah, it's not bailable. Yeah.
Okay, and so for me, I think that's harsh enough. But there are others who feel that the fact that you hear about and in some cases babies, teenagers, kids.
And when you hear stories like maybe a 2 or 3 year old child, in my mind, I think it's not a normal thing. I think it's been done for some ritual because how can a man be like 50 in his 60s and then go down to a baby maybe a few months or a year older? I mean, it's devilish in my mind. It's devilish. So you won't look at that being something natural. Yeah. Probably it's been done for some other cause. Well, so it's devilish in my mind, in my opinion, because come to think about that. And so it brings me to a story written by John Grisham. He always writing about the law and the law. And there's this novel, a book that he wrote about A Time to Kill. And if you read that book, you will know how parents get furious when their daughters or daughter is being treated by people for such act. Yeah.
What do you mean? Being treated for
Like
a victim or a perpetrator?
Victims, yeah. Like I
Okay.
remember, yeah, like I
Okay.
remember, I
Okay.
remember
When the
vivid-
babies have been victimized.
Yes, like I remember in the story vividly because I read a lot of his books.
Okay.
It's almost like I thought of him being some lawyer, but most of his stories have been centered around the law. And so I read a lot of them. Like A Time to Kill, the story when like the father went and sent his daughter underage to go and get groceries from the supermarket, and on her way coming home, some men took her with the intent of carrying her home, but she wasn't too far from. It wasn't too far from where she lived, and so they took her to a nearby place and gang raped her.
Can you imagine?
Yes, and killed her. And so the father the father was so mad, extremely
just
mad.
let me interrupt you. We're reading a foreign story on ELBC News about
Ethiopia.
Yeah, someone raped a child and killed a child.
Yeah, and so I think they are protesting in a country over that.
Protest, yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, so and then come to think about it while we are, still going to discuss different aspects of it. Let's just imagine on the side of the victim. I mean, the impact. What are some of those negative, the real negative impact? Those things that will happen to a victim, whether a child, whether an adult. The fact that person was raped.
The trauma.
Wow.
The trauma, yeah. Most of them are traumatized. The trauma. That is why at the court, when the victims have been questioned or asked to take the stand, they don't come in the open court. It's been done behind camera, so you only hear the voice.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been done behind camera at the court. Because sometimes they are so traumatized that when they come face to face with the alleged perpetrator, it plays on them. Yeah, it plays on them. It's something that brings a lot of trauma to that person. So sometimes because there are different stories involved or different ways, all depends on how the person was allegedly raped. Some of it being so violent, and you heard about the portion of the rape law that talk about violence. Some people are so violent that probably if they are carrying on the act, they use other things probably to harm the victim. And I mean, they go about doing a lot of unthinkable things that when you get to know or read about, you feel so bad and ask, why did it happen the way it happened?
You even have fracture. People get the bones broken sometimes because of the kind of violence that is exerted by these people. You got terrible things like you may have STIs, incurable conditions, pregnancies unwanted, and kinds of stuff. The emotions might be quite difficult. There might be long-lasting trauma, and the flashbacks will come. Even nightmares, if you will. People face all of these different kinds of impacts as a result of the act of rape.
Sure.
So let's look at, for example, in a case of an abuse. One of the things that I think people should be careful with is how they take care of their children. Because sometimes it's access to the children that can create that opportunity for somebody who has that criminal intent to commit rape. A recent case in point was another teenager or youth, if I'm getting this story right, who happens to be a family member, was left with the kids. And I think the parent went across, I think they say Lofa River. By the time the parent came back, the guy had taken the child and raped the child. Did you hear that? It was on our news as well, ELBC News. Yes. So we should be quite careful who has access to our children.
And I remembered another story that we had probably a couple of months ago. I think it happened in the Busek Water area, where the guy was sent to jail for allegedly raping his daughter. The issue of parents sharing a single room. the mother was away, and so he took advantage of that. And so the first time he attempted, she had to alarm and told the mother. But being a single mother, have to go out. She has to go out and fend for the family, and our father sitting home, practically doing nothing and
Right.
waiting for the woman to bring whatever home, and living in a cluster place with kids and everybody squatting and sleeping in the same room. And so he did that, and he was brought out in court.
Imagine.
And I interviewed him, and I remember him telling me that, oh, how can I do that to my own daughter? The mother lied on me, the mother lied on me, how can I? And so all that, he said, could not save him at that moment at the Monrovia City Court, but to see himself being whisked off to the Monrovia to Central Prison, so that the day his case is being called, I think he will explain himself in court.
Okay.
So there are a lot of issues and stories we find concerning rape suspects and victims.
Children.
Yeah.
Maybe the older folks, for obvious reasons, are not reporting as much as the cases are coming for the younger one. But when you allow people to have access to the children, then they start to engage into sexual interaction with those children. The next thing they would do, they will start to introduce some level of secrecy. They promise them money. I will give you this money. And in some cases, they actually give the money. And in some cases, they just say, look, if anybody hears this, you are finished. The issue threats, right? Yeah, the issue threats in some cases. Yeah, so it will harm you. Sometimes disclosure is accidental. Maybe the mother has seen the child, probably bruised, probably bleeding, probably walking abnormally, and in some cases, the victim will even still be afraid to disclose. Sometimes they have to be taken to see a medical facility, where they're examined and their condition is diagnosed, and then maybe the medical person would write a report to say this person was tampered with, and then maybe after long talking, that the person admits that yes, this person did this to me, especially the issue of the children. And then there's this whole question of suppression and denial. There's some people who will just not disclose. They will just shut in. They won't explain. But there's another one when we're talking about consent. Here is it. Recently, or in a couple of months ago, there's a story about a woman in the Painesville area who has some mental challenge. And these guys found her one morning, her lifeless body, so to speak, with a lot of condoms around her. I don't know if you heard that story. It was also reported on our network.
I think it was in was it Picana era?
I think it was somewhere, but it was in a few months ago. No, it was in this Monserrado, somewhere in Monserrado. And some people even say, oh, they knew the lady, and I mean, the fact that this was a lifeless body, I wasn't there physically, but there were several condoms around her. It may have well been again raped, because this is a woman that was not normal. Could she have given sound consent with that kind of condition? I'm suspicious that was not the case. So it is a cause for concern. And when you listen to reports coming from across Liberia, it seems to be happening everywhere. And so one would just wonder, is it that not enough is being done to curb this situation? Is it that probably, because oftentimes people say you have to disclose. If you don't disclose, sometimes the case doesn't come before the law. The courts cannot do for parties litigants what they must do for themselves, right? So you have to be, willing to pick up the case. And our civil society organizations, they need to do more. Go out there, provide more awareness. If you find people who want to compromise, they should get some stiff punishment. Because at the end of the day, these children grow up and the sky is with them for good. I've heard stories that some people would be afraid of anything called a man. because of what happened to them somewhere. And sometimes the sky is so lasting that something that happened 15, 18, 20 years ago, this person can still recount what happened to them. So this, in my mind, it should be everybody's concern. Everybody should make some effort.
It's always the victim that remembers.
Yes, the victim that remembers. Yeah. And I often hear too that it's often the victim who is right because they're victimized. This guy who is the perpetrator, who intentionally, he calculated this. Can rape be accidental? Can there be an accidental rape?
But the thing is that
no, I want to answer to that. Can somebody say, "Well, I didn't mean it"? I've heard people to say, "The devil fooled me."
Yeah,
I didn't mean it. So can it be accidental?
So when the devil fooled and the term it has been accidental.
Yeah. Or can there be accidental rape? And I hope when the callers come on, they will tell us whether there's any such thing as accidental.
Okay, Koto was just online.
Okay.
I think she's muted.
Okay. She needs to. Well, try to unmute. Let's see.
Okay, yeah, she's back.
So you can go because you're seeing her. I'm not actually seeing her from where I sit.
Hello, Koto.
Hi, how you guys doing today?
We're doing
good. Doing my Liberian people. How everybody doing?
We're doing great. And how are you?
I can see you guys in high spirits. Since after your program, right? Your groundbreaking.
Well, we got a charge that we have to keep.
So welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you, Fabi, and thank you, Mr. Fawon. I'm glad to be here. Let's start the show. Whatever is on, let's get rolling.
Yeah, we're discussing the rising rate of rape and other forms of violence against, other forms of abuse rather, against women and children. And so earlier we read portion of the rape law resulting to consent and non-consent, and there are other issues, how people are being involved. But again, besides women and children being abused, men are also abused. Men are also abused. Sometimes they come forth and sometimes they don't come forth because people term it as being rare in our society.
Yeah, it's actually for me it's an emotional thing. There are some issues that is difficult for individual to discuss because especially if you have maybe experience or a family member have experienced such and it gets deeper into your heart, it's hard to discuss. That's why I get very emotional when I want to discuss, especially abuse on women. Yeah, I get very emotional on it. I'm not good at discussing it for some reason because I get too emotional and get deeper into it in such a manner that might not be too good for airing. So, yeah, so I don't know. I don't know whether I'm actually good at this moment to actually discuss issues like that. Maybe I might get mature to discuss it, but for now, I get so emotional in discussing it because it's deep in my heart to some point that I don't know whether I might be in a position of fighting for people who have faced that situation in Liberia because it's unfortunate that even people we think that can stand for women to advocate for them can be to that extent. So it's kind of difficult for me. Maybe one of these days while we going on, I will get mature to discuss it. But I experience it and I've still feel the pain and wounds, and I have not at night, actually heal from it. So maybe, I don't know. I don't know. But I feel the pains of those that I'm going through right now. And I hope we could get in a stage where we can, fight it. And I think one of these days I will be prepared, but I don't know how I will handle it. I'm giving the opportunity, I will handle it vigorously. Maybe it might come to a point where, at some point we used to call it, right, Ellen Johnson trap. Maybe one day they'll call it Cotto trap.
Okay. Look, Fabian, you can understand. I mean, you can understand the emotion with which Koto speaks about this situation, to the extent that she's clear to tell us that I don't think I'm strong enough to handle this particular subject, because, like the guy you talk about who wrote the book, What Time to Kill?
A Time to Kill.
A Time to Kill. If you imagine, take for an example, somebody who has experienced this, having to recount, having to have flashbacks, having to recall the pain, the agony. Why me? Why should this be? It has a lasting negative impact on people. So yes, Koto is right. That's the way it is. People who go through this, the even the sentencing the perpetrators will have. Well, yes, but I mean, this brings me to what needs to happen for people who will have this kind of experience. What should happen? How how should people treat them in terms of programs, in terms of managing the situation that they found themselves in? What are some of the things that you think they need in terms of helping them to come to terms? They may not forget, but to at least sort of try to reduce the burden of the impact on them based on their own experience. What do you think?
I think people should face the fact that when they commit crimes of such, because our term rape has been heinous, I mean, they should be able to face the accuser in court, especially if they think that they are not guilty, to explain why they are not, or if they are guilty, why they did what they did. Because I'll tell you a story. I have a childhood friend who said she was allegedly raped during the war and got pregnant, and she has a daughter. Because of that trauma and stigma, she had a child pushed away. So for every time she thinks about her daughter, excuse me, that sense of fear, that sense of insecurity dwells within, and she starts to recollect. And so her parents have talked to her, trying to have that child around. She said, okay, people can say things and they can forget. So then she had another child, a boy. And she said, instead of being lonely, like driving this child away because she was raped by some people during the war, I think my son can comfort me. And so she drew the son closer. Despite the daughter is still around, she drew the son closer, and they are so close up to present as I speak. The son lives with her somewhere in the Sinker area that I know. They are still together. But the idea, for every time she sees her own daughter, that sense of fear, as I said, I used two words, fear and insecurity, dwells within. That she feels so bad. And sometimes
that she had a daughter that was raped.
Yeah, and sometimes for those of us that are closer to her, she always tried to bring those memories back, and we tell her not to. The girl is of age, she has a child, but yet and then still, the mother still feels so bad about what happened.
Yeah.
It plays on her every time.
There's another story of somebody who actually had a kid out of being raped. And I mean, it's hell on earth. mixed between love for this child she gave birth to, but caught up with the fact that no, how is this what that was meant for? So he's almost in between love and hate.
Caught between the scissors.
Yes, I want to love this child, but because every time she imagines that this child has a father, the memory comes fresh. What is she going
So
to do?
fresh.
The times she put the child away, but then after some time she will think again, oh, but that's my child. She will go for that child and come. So you see, the whole issue about rape is a terrible thing. It's a terrible, terrible, terrible thing. But let's also look on the other side. There have been stories about quote unquote people who claim they have been lied on. They didn't do it. It was just an attempt to bring them down. And they go and they say, but in fact, like you were saying, the law is not fair because people only accused me and they locked me up. And they will go on. And so other thoughts have been that, well, some people will be, so keen on trying to get even with somebody, and they will raise such an issue, and this person will unjustifiably be incarcerated. And if God is now on their side, or if some stroke of luck is now on their side, they will suffer in silence and agony for a long time unjustifiably. Is this also a possibility? Is this something that could happen?
Yes, this is something that is happening.
Okay.
Yeah, you can rule that possibility out. There are cases that I've listened to. People have been accused of rape, and they have been set free. Went into the case, came to court, had lawyers pleading for them, and won the case. And sometimes people do apologize in that instant. But again, another thing is that once the mother experiences that agony and pain, quote unquote, if the child grows up, another embarrassing point is that they always ask that mother, where is my father? Where is he? Who is my father?
Yes.
And at times, most times, it gets so difficult in explaining that to the child. So difficult in explaining that to the child. But mind you, they have some kids that do interact with the mother and get the full story and try to accept. Yes, and try to accept that it has already happened. There's nothing they can do. And so they can live with it, especially if they're getting that kind of a love from the mother and making them not to think. I mean, they got some kids that are okay with it. They live with it, whether they were young and they heard the story, or whether they grew up or is growing up to be a woman and heard the story. They try to live with it and be in sympathy with the mother.
That's my point.
Yeah.
And I'd like to inject here, Fabian. I imagine someone, say a woman, a girl, grows up, become really successful. She has been asking her mother forever, where's my dad? What happened to him? Where is he? And she always tried to frame stories. And it was a cause for concern for this girl. Why is my mother hiding this from me? Where is my mother? The story goes that an aunt told her on one occasion what had happened, and she got really, really mad with her mother. She went to the mother. By the time she brought it up, the mother broke down. So you see, the girl is down, the mother is down. Her first reaction, she didn't care. The mother should have told her. In fact, all she wants is she wants to see and know her father.
And girls, children,
Yeah,
and their father.
She wants to see and know her father. So the story goes that it became a very, very serious problem. So they fought to stabilize the mother. They told her, look, this is your mother. The girl said the only thing she wanted was to know who her father was. And interestingly, this mother had been tracking this particular man. She knew where he was. So they're calling people, and the girl kept saying what she wanted was to know her father. So in the end, the mother explained what the father did. The girl said, I want to see him. Before anything else, I want to see him. So, according to the story, the father too was a little bit afraid because he heard that the girl was desperate to see him. In the end, eventually, they managed to bring the father and the girl face to face. It was a hard meeting. The girl was like, Daddy, why? Why? And, the short of the long is that people managed to put the girl and the father together. But the sad thing for the mother is that the girl joined the father to go and plead with her mother to forgive her father. It was a sad, difficult story, but in the end, they all agreed that something went wrong somewhere, but they were all somehow family. Yes. Not that they were coming back together, but they were all family. So the girl was like, she was in between. The mother never accepted to be anywhere with the father. The father, it was for him. Once the discussion is over with, the mother never accepted that. But it was now their life was, the girl's life was difficult, the mother's life was difficult, the father's life was somewhat difficult. So when we engaging in these things, maybe the very young people who will get involved, they're still too young to know the implications of their actions. Does not mean they should not be held liable. Imagine a teenager raping an adolescent. It's going to take some time, for them to really know the gravity of what they've done. Does not mean they should not be held liable. Imagine a teenager to have their own experiences. So, any of our other panelists on now?
No, it's only Koto who's still.
Yes, no. I hope Koto is still there and listening, because it's good to listen. So,
but Antonio, we've just been talking about girl.
mm-hmm.
We talked about men earlier.
Yeah, when you said that, I was a little bit like, oh wow.
The thing about it is, people you want to advocate for, they are in a state that even the one I know personally, she is even a lawyer, to the point that she cannot easily, to this point, she is not able to even come out, because it's like a damage in her life forever. Can you imagine? Somebody who goes through that damage. And we were friends. And when that time reaches, that lady gets into that trauma mood. I mean, it's so sad. She gets into that mood, and I almost like put myself in her shoes, that I was in the same pain with her. But I don't know, our country is to the level where they can fight cases like that, or be able to carry people like that to be healed. We talk about other abuses that we may have, but that one, is something that you live with for the rest of your life. Okay, we talk about those, lady having a child, and just imagine if that one is hard to be healed. Then what's about the woman that it have damage, that she cannot even have a child, and she cannot have a husband to be with because of that? Because she cannot even get a boyfriend to say, okay, because when that time reaches, she hits the boyfriend, or, I don't know whether she had even been able to get married. I mean, it's been a while now, But her situation, like, traumatized me so many times, like, it plays on me a lot. And so many cases. So that's why when you see that there's just some issues when you are not in a position of fighting, it's hard, because you really want to please them to some level, but then you can't help them in a situation. You're not in a position of actually helping them, and it's a trauma issue. it need to be like going through some therapy, and the therapy situation in, I don't know, in Liberia is to a level where I don't know, but here they do it. We do it here. People go through therapy and they are able to some level be healed from it. But I don't know there whether they have the situation where they can be healed from it. And it's not like just ordinary issue. Oh, it's an inner thing, you know. So my advice actually to people is don't hurt people in that manner. Do not. I don't care whatever it is. Even if you have a girlfriend or a wife that they tell you do not, just give them that space. It's painful. It's traumatic, to be fair. It's traumatic, because you don't know that what that pain is. The thing is, if you do something to somebody where they have to live for the rest of their life, it's something that you don't play with. And that's one of the instances that those are one of the cases that you don't play with somebody with, because it live with them for the rest of their life. Yeah.
That psychological effect.
Traumatic ripple negative regret. Yeah.
Live with it, and
I mean, imagine.
But we do have safe homes, where the victims are being carried to, and we have counselors. But are they enough?
Yes, I think more needs to happen.
Are they enough to counsel people who experience that? Because just as Koto said, is something that is extremely hard to live with.
Yeah.
Very, very hard. It's just that some women are strong and they can overcome that, but it's something so difficult to live with.
But some of the instances we have heard, the person gets raped, is taken to a medical facility, and they're taken back home to go home and be going to the medical facility to get care. That's sad. That's sad, because it's not just about the even the environment the incident occurred in becomes traumatic.
And then coming face to face with the alleged perpetrator.
And the whole gruesome process of the sometimes long and tedious legal process, because at least if you have closure, it provides some level of response that you have gotten some justice. I know of a colleague of ours whose son got killed. He was so down, but the day the perpetrator got a death sentence, he said, "Oh, at least my son has gotten justice." And so, like Koto said, imagine breaking someone's dream like that. You can never get married. You can never have a home. You can never have a boyfriend. Now, every time, you have a flashback, you can even have seizures because of such a negative, experience. So I really think that this is so serious, and much more needs to be done. When I hear about little kids, like one time in Bomi, this guy did not even only rape the child. He used the razor blades to be able to find space to penetrate the child. I think you heard
that. Yes, I remember that story. Yeah,
horrible story. So the issue of rape is truly a very, very critical. If we're saying corruption and this and that, rape is one of the things we should stand up tall against. If we're saying drugs, we should stand tall against rape. You started talking about the men or the boys, and probably you need to give a more light on that, because I'm still like, oh, okay, when I hear a lot about it, maybe it's just one of those things that is not on the radar, but maybe happening seriously.
People are allegedly being sodomized by men and boys. Well, as I said, even though it's on the surface, but a lot of people don't come forth.
Okay.
But we've been experiencing and been hearing and having such cases at the court that we've written. about people being allegedly sodomized. Like in the case of that story that came from Birmingham about the child that you just talked about.
Yeah.
I mean, that alleged perpetrator, if even he's been taken to court and been sentenced, I think he should be there behind bars. It's horrible. You take razor blade
to open up a child,
open up
to
a
find
child,
space to penetrate. That was really horrible.
So that, as I said, that is devilish. It's not something normal. I think it's being done for ritual purposes. In my mind, in my opinion, that isn't something that is natural. That is something I don't think it's natural. Just come to think about that.
Well, so I think can we go on the line now? Start to pick some calls. Or you want to see who are following us on the discussion today, Fabian?
Yeah, we have Alexander Wilson. He's watching from Painesville. Lorena Gato is also watching. Jacob Akwe say he's watching live from Israel community. Lorena Gato say she's watching, and I think I'm seeing her. Yeah, she's watching also, and somebody saying the topic under discussion is interesting this evening and love the topic. And so we have a couple of them that are following us.
Okay, so
but you know, one thing, Mr. Vawana, I noticed, I think that actually affect us when you're discussing it. You hardly see our Liberian people, you know, trying to listen to it, to learn from it. And this is one of the cases that many of our Liberians are suffering from, and we just overlook it. Because the people think PTSD is only, you know, affected, you know, by people who went at war. But that's the post trauma. It can affect anybody. It could be some of the reason of the way we live, and some of the reason why the way we behave the way we behave. It's all because of the post traumatic, you know, effects on us. We don't have good experience to share, you know, with your children. You don't have good, you know, moral conduct to, you know, to show to your children. You try to do it, but other people, you know, then pollute their mind. Oh, this should not be done because it's not the right thing. And it's bad because some of us who have our children, we have to bring them here. Some of them turn against us because the way they experience from our own home. You can't discuss our own experience with them. They look at it like the worst state of mind. You don't even know how to explain to them how you can, you know, adjust yourself or your whole life or redirect your life, because for them they frown at it so badly. But again, that's our life, that's our past, you know, and it lived for us. It's post traumatic, you know. But again, there's something that we don't like to discuss. We think that it's just normal. It's not normal. Because, like Fabi said, sodomizing the guys, the boys, they grow up to be, you know, some get like even go to the point of killing other people because of that post trauma. They don't keep job. They don't get job. They don't. I mean, they even get into drug and all of that. People reactions, you know, are different in situation. So I really love that our people will try to listen to some of these things and learn from no mistakes, you know, so that it can't be repeated, because there's something that people live with. And even coming back, like what Mr. Van was saying, bring them back into the community where they have to face the perpetrator and have to live how painful it is to live with your alleged perpetrator or your perpetrator that you know, because for some reason we have to say alleged because cases are not heard to actually come to a closure. Then you live with it for the rest of your life. Even if if you're lucky, it goes to be a case. If not, it never to be heard. And there are some people
Mm-hmm.
who just would never bother to even talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because to live and live a better life, you have to block that event of your life. And blocking it, it means you don't even want to discuss it. You don't want to be in an environment where that issue is discussed. You can block the mind. And blocking your mind, you know what it means? You know? So the effect is so hard. People overlook it, but it's bad. It's bad.
Okay.
So
Yeah. So you were talking about people not even wanting to bother to talk about their experience, because sometimes when people feel that there is no responsiveness, there's no
Yes.
feedback, then they just like, why you want to waste your time to talk about it? You're just going to make your matter worse.
Yeah.
But at least people who sometimes do counseling and the rest of it, they often advise that as you say out what happened to you, the chance of you healing is better than and to leave it within and die in silence. So sometimes it's good to come out and speak about what has happened to you. But again, I know the issue of rape has overwhelmed the conversation tonight, but we're saying rape and other forms of abuse against women and children. We used to hear before about violence, even though what we talking about now also takes the form of domestic violence at times. But what is the outlook for being? Are we still hearing about the way the issue of battering, wife battering, for an example, used to be? You go to the courts often. What kind of cases do you hear often bordering around, abuse, either for children or we say women? Men, boys are also involved, but
mhm.
mostly it's women and children. For the children, it would be most likely about forced labor, for an example, uh, like in the case of family children coming to live, and quote unquote would be father would choose that child to be his second or third or fourth wife. Those kinds of things. Do you hear about some of these kinds of cases at the courts?
Yes, it's rare because we have the juvenile court
Okay.
there where children cases are being heard, and I would say most time it's been done in a secluded
Okay.
form. Yeah, not really open.
And why is that?
I mean, they are kids, and most of them are traumatized.
Yeah, to
So
protect.
when they are being brought there, you don't have a crowded court like people trooping in. You don't accept where you have some case or cases that pop up in the public and people have interest in it. But just before I continue, let me recognize some of our followers. We have George Ala Kermani, Conquistador Colley from Carisburg, Sylvester Weiser from Calcutta, Alfred Collins said, great work, guys. Charles Kakai, Dakwitown Community, Samson Abraham Dopla from Zweju, Bowen Quarter, Grand Jide County, Obadiah Zami from Red Light. Yes, I was saying, most of the cases you see, if it's been brought to the court, then they have discussed it not being compromised. If it's been hidden, you have people compromising those cases. Sometimes you have family members involved and they don't want for it to go further, and people advise them to report those issues of rape, but because it's some family thing, they decide to just sit and talk it within. But at times it's advisable that they bring it forth And sometimes people go about saying the tradition don't permit them to do this or to do that. And so they keep it within that family range and that family tie to see how best they can settle it. But again, you ask me about cases. Yeah, you always have rape, alleged rape, alleged rape, rape. We say alleged because everyone is innocent until
Until
proven
proven
otherwise
guilty, yeah.
guilty. So we always have to attach the word alleged. And so, yes, we see alleged rapists being brought before the court. And, from at the level now legally, when cases of such come, they must come to the first court of instance at the Monrovia City Court, where the Monrovia City Court, if they don't have jurisdiction over that matter, is being forwarded. If it's something non-bailable, obviously, you find yourself being off to jail. And then after some time, if the case is being placed on the docket, and then for any court term, and people go into the case, both prosecution and defense. But yes, again, rape is something that's on the increase. And even as I said, men are also affected. Sodomy, yeah, we've been getting cases and been writing stories of such from the court. And so these are things that happen, and people need to come forth to say that, because you listen to what Koto said or she has been saying, it affects the child or it affects the victim to the extent that some of them, especially women, you find that they won't be able to give birth. You find that they won't have men coming around. If even they have somebody coming around to see them, once they have that flashback, those memories start coming. When they think about it, I mean, they feel so insecure and say, hey, I cannot get closer to John. Probably I might be treated or maybe treated the way I was treated before. So I don't need anything, a reoccurrence. And so they stop that. Not that they are sick, but their minds or the mind is weak and not willing to have that kind of interaction because they don't want something occurring again.
Okay.
Yeah.
That one of the kind again.
One of the kind again.
Okay, so the men, I mean, alleged
yes,
rapists,
alleged,
rapists,
yeah.
Those who probably have gone through the process and were not found guilty. What do they have any remedy under the law? Probably this guy went to jail for some time, and then it happens that the person who brought the case was doing it on purpose to impose some difficulties on this guy for some reason. What recourse do they have under the law? The people who will go through all of the trial and everything, and in the end, they're declared not guilty.
I mean, some of them in that instant, again, have overstayed or have not been indicted for such a long time, and the law provides that after 4 terms, yes, if that person has been accused and has not been indicted, they can push for either dismissal or maybe go into the case. Like I remember last week, there were like, was it 39? Yeah, 39 pre-trial detainees. They were released from the Monrovia Central Prison by Criminal Court A Judge Roosevelt Willie on grounds that prosecution failed to prosecute, and some of them have been lingering behind bars since 2009. Yeah, they've been there, and having been blessed or lucky to have come to court to hear the case, and I mean, they have been there. And so these are some of the reasons you have our central prison is being overcrowded. So in the issue or in the case of that, if they are being kept for some time and maybe the accuser having been able to prove his or her case and maybe defense lawyers in that case deem it necessary to file or push for a motion to dismiss, I mean, some of them come out and maybe the only thing they do, probably some of them can just tell, well, thank you, that at least I'm out, and maybe don't want to pursue the case further.
Naturally, they may not want to.
Yeah, they may not want to, and so they decide to just forget about it, and whatever will happen, let it happen. But the fact that they were able to be out, maybe after spending some time, I mean, they decide not to go after it. But I think in the cases or in the case of rape, I think that should be listened to, be heard, and be determined, so that if there is an alleged suspect, let he or she serve the required jail term, the minimum or maximum. If not, probably some of them go to jail, and then you find them coming out or being within and having some mindset or changing behavior. Some of them, if they go through. One thing I notice about them, because most of the time, I'm always visiting the prison center, and I always find some of the inmates are convicts with a pocket Bible, pocket-sized Bible.
Oh,
Yeah, and they will be reading.
they transform into
So
Christianity now.
Sometimes I can be thinking and staring at them and saying to myself, is it because they are beyond bars and they're trying to know God for themselves or what? But you always find them, even if they are being brought to court, you always find them with Bible.
No.
Yeah.
But Fabian, that happens. I remember during the war years, everybody was so holy. Everybody was praying. By the time the missiles were like boom, everybody said, "Oh God, here we are." So sometimes my own experience is that when times are challenging and difficult, people turn to quote unquote their God. But let's hope that
Like,
whatever the
like,
Koto, let's hear you.
I was trying to say, that is, if somebody accuses you falsely, that's character assassination. It takes like anything else too to erase that notion out of people's mind. It takes time, because you cannot go good person and just go tarnish their repetition. They say you can easily do things and go away, but then to tarnish somebody's repetition to build a name is hard, and to spoil it just in a twinkle of an eye is small. To take that time again to rebuild that character, it's some hard for some people. So sometimes it's good that if someone go through such, you go and sue the person for character assassination, because you can't go and lie on somebody for such a hidden crime or issue that the person will also live with it for the rest of their life. Defending, because sometimes to defend it, you're not everywhere to go defend your character, especially where you would not be people discussing you. That also is not good, because it takes long to build a character, and for somebody to just kind of destroy it in the twinkle of an eye, and to the point of being in jail or being in prison. But again, I don't know whether sometimes the jail sentences. I don't know how to do it. That's got to be in a prison. It means you might have been incarcerated. But to keep somebody in a jail, there should be a limited period of time. Or I think that for how many hours? 48 hours, right? They should be in jail. You can't keep them perpetually in jail when you have not, have filed the case or close the case, and have them in jail. I don't know how to do the jail time, because there should be a limited time for somebody to be in jail. Is that where you send them? Or if you think they are getting, then you send them to prison.
The 48 hours you're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, if somebody is accused and you have not been able to prosecute them, you should not hold them in jail for a very long time.
Okay,
You
so
should not.
it follow. Are you still in flight?
No, Koto.
Okay, so it goes like when wealth is lost, nothing is lost. But when character or reputation is lost,
Yeah.
everything is lost. Well,
Yeah.
again, that's our discussion tonight. So we want to open the lines to talk about the rising rate of rape and other forms of abuse against women and children. That's our discussion tonight, and we've gone around the various aspects of the crime, the commission, the process of litigation, and what our various responsibilities as the communities, as people in the communities, as the authorities of state, and as citizens. So you can call tonight on 0772 876481, 0772-876481, and give us your view. There's rising rape taking place in Liberia. There are other forms of abuse against women and children as well. And my colleague Fabian said, don't leave the boys and the men. They are also victims in the process. Do we have our first caller yet?
Sure.
0772-876481. So let's go to the line, pick this caller. Hello, caller.
Yes, good evening.
Yes, please tell me your name and where you're calling from.
Yes, good evening. My name is Paul and I'm following you from Grand Chile.
Paul, let's hear you, sir.
Yes, so thank you very much. So much followed the conversation from start to where we are, and I think this is similar to what we'll be following in counties. Like in the county here, I've always followed the magisterial court and the circuit court, but prevalent among cases that you see there in the cases of violence and so perpetrated against men and women and children, prevalent among them had to do with this issue of rape and some form of domestic violence, and those violences have to do with the issue of non-support, perpetual non-support. All right, these are the kind of cases that you find most of the time adding to rape. All right, but the issue of fight, where you see husband and wife fighting and then they go into court, sometimes you don't see them happening. But rape is on an increase, and I think it's across the country. And I was in the court today when I saw a fellow, a perpetrator, name or not mentioned right now. He has been in the pretrial detention for over 1 year now. And it happened that he allegedly raped a 91-year-old mother, an old woman. And after 1 year now, I just spoke with the prosecution. The lady later died. Though the death may not be traceable to the rape, but again, it's another thing that has to be established by medical report. And he had been there for a year plus. So if, for instance, he goes to court and he's exonerated, then good. But if he's convicted, that means his 1 year will be added to his sentence. And that is happening to a lot of people who have been in prisons, who have been pre-trial detentions, and have served 2, 3, 4 years or 4 statutory periods according to the court terms. And so I think much is there. That's why the circuit court judge, during the court opening last week, stressed the issue of the evidence-based cases on docket, that prosecution should be able to provide evidence in court, because the reason for that is that that will help to decongest the prison centers and the jail, the prison places. Otherwise, people will stay there for 3, 4 years, and they will stay there. That will be an abuse, a human right abuse, and that's a right issue. Okay. So I think much is needed to be done to fast-track cases that go to court, and let them be evidence-based cases. Not because I send you there, I want to punish you, and I want to see you out of the community, so you stay there, I feel so happy about it. Okay. So I just thought to share in this, but I think it's a very good program, and we'll try to follow it from here.
Thank you, Paul. Very, very valuable contribution. Let's go back to the line, take this caller. Hello, caller. Hello, caller. Okay, somebody ripping in old woman, 91-year-old, and he's been in jail all that time. Well, call us on 0772-876481, 0772-876481. You can call and make your contribution. Let's go to this caller. Hello, caller. Hello, caller. Good evening, caller. Are you there? You can hold a line. Then you have to leave the line if you're not ready to contribute. Okay. Let's go. Hello, caller. Hello, dear caller. I hope we are not having any technical challenge because you're on the line and we're not hearing you. Hello, caller. Let's hello there, caller.
Hello?
Yes, good evening. Please tell me your name and where you calling from.
I'm calling from Mbanga.
You're calling from Mbanga. What is your name?
I'm qualifying from County Mbanga City. And Emmanuel Small.
Emmanuel, go ahead. Apparently we lost Emmanuel. So, hello, caller.
Hello, how do you do?
Oh, I'm fine. Please tell me your name and where you calling
My name
from.
is Reverend Joseph Kulupaka Salah. I'm calling from Nizo, District 3, Monserrado.
Okay, sir. Let's hear your contribution.
You know, you're discussing rape. And rape is something very sensitive in this country. And the statutory rape they set up, you can see that from 13 years now in Morovia and many parts of this country, all the young girls are aware of men business. They're doing it. The only place I see the rape now is that somebody forcing somebody to do men and woman business, or those are doing it to the little children. But also, there are people here, they just set up something for somebody. There's a boy closer to me here. He was carried to jail for almost nine months. And the girl he loved to, the girl had her voting ID card. The girl displayed the voting ID card at the court, but they still sent the boy to jail. That was very ugly. And we have in this country the local marriage and the statutory marriage. Some people, they will be taking care of the child until when the child is about 15, 16, then the man will have the child as a wife. People who live from Moria, when they go to the India, they say the man rape the child. Rape the child. The parents are aware. The men have been working for them. And the only person who comes from the civilized home now, say they rape the child. Where they rape now is that rape? It happened in one country. The old men were taking care of the child when the girl was 15, 16 years. He have her. They ended there for a year and went there and said the man raped the child. They carried the old man to the police. And yet, when you look in the hospitals here, 12 years, 15 years, 10 years, 13 years, they get pregnant. When I'm a 14-year-old granddaughter is pregnant, I'm not going to run after the pregnant. She don't say, accept it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's interesting. She is there.
Hello.
But, hello, caller. Please tell me your name and where you calling from. I
Good
hope a
evening to
lawyer.
your BC family and good evening to my people in the Republic of Liberia.
Go ahead.
By the way, the introduction, I'm Afonso E.F. Kamara. I joined this conversation from a peaceful resident this evening with Research Oro Nepetan community.
Okay.
I listened to the topic on a discussion this evening. Your panelists, they all say the same thing. And we all know in this country when it comes to rape issue, it's a cardinal issue for us to take it serious. Because many of our friends are taking advantage over this girls, over this women. And the rape should not be a case to be compromised. I think the rape issue should be a case that we should take it very hard to the extent. Because many of our cases we listen to on radio, when it's not a murder case, it's a raping case. So I think I would like for us to take a rape case to be one of the genuine cases in Liberia that when you rape it should have no message for you, but you should bear the punishment.
Okay.
You should find a day in court, or you should find a day where you will see the punishment that you want to go.
Okay. All right. Let's go to the line and take the next caller. Hello, caller.
Yes.
Please call your name and
Tate from Monrovia.
You say Brown Tate?
Yes.
Okay, sir. Let's hear you, Chief.
All right. Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah, I listened to the video, callers, especially the man before the last one. And, the problem we have in this country is that even you go in most of the slum communities, you see that 13-year-old back child, you see 10-year-old pregnant, the 14-year-old pregnant. What can we do? Can we ask government or can we ask the human rights people to walk behind the to find their boyfriend or their husband there and take them to court? So sometimes it's complicated.
All right.
Why we arresting other people? Yes, I agree with that. I agree with the red law because it's undermine the progress of the children. When somebody rape you, they damage your future. But how about those we pass by before we go arrest other people? Pass by teenagers. All of them buying babies. All of them pregnant. All of them moving with their boyfriend and their girlfriend.
Okay.
So what do we do? So that's a complicated issue that even the human rights people got to solve. The government enforcement or organization got to solve. Okay. Even the gender people. Those things they got to solve no problem.
Okay.
So for me, I agree with him, but there's a lot of complication or the zero get. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brown Tati. Oh yeah, okay. Should we run behind all the people with the babies and the pregnant women and the ones married already and their kids? So let's go to the line and pick this call. Hello, caller.
Hello.
Yes, please tell me your name and where you're calling from.
Yeah, this is Aaron Johnson calling from
Aaron, let's hear you.
Yeah, I think with the rape law can be more enforced, and anybody that rapes, that person should be jailed from not less than 10 years.
Okay.
Because you cannot leave your gay child and go rape a gay child.
Okay.
Okay. So those children are telling.
Oh, okay. So sorry, that guy dropped. Let's take this one. You gotta reduce the volume of your radio.
Yeah, hello?
Yes, your name and where you calling from?
Yeah, good evening. I am Gibson Brissy, calling from Bernard Farm, Morovia.
Okay, Gibson.
Yeah, okay. Good evening to the panelists.
Yes. Go on.
What happened, the rape law is a very sensitive thing. What needs to be done is reinforcement. Because what happened in this country is that I'm in sympathy with the 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. But now what happened to the 13 years, 10 years that pregnant that we're passing by every day? Okay. And the government is not asking who pregnant you. And they always go to hospital, people treat them. Then another problem again, the mothers are responsible for all those things. The mothers always telling their children, let your friend give bring one bag of rice to their man. Why you ever brought in this house? Instead of telling the child to go to school, you are encouraging the child to bring food. And you're talking to the child every day. So then this child will go out to fetch for food and feed you. Clearly. Another thing is that the government is not saying something about women who almost naked in the streets. Those girls, even big people say, I'm not naked themselves wearing a whole lot of trousers. That's not essential.
But the women they can say that when they wear their clothes, they're not telling you say go jump on now.
Hello.
Okay, hello caller. Please tell me your name. Where are you calling from?
Thank you. The Junior Empire call from Lofa County to be particularly feasible.
Junior Empire from Feasible. Let's hear you.
Yes. As regard to the topic on our discussion tonight, is a very unique one, more especially with how the female children. Some guys take it as advantage to see how they can exploit those children. I'm kind of asking the government to see how best they can lay a law aside that anyone that will happen to rape a child, if you are 15 years old or 20 years old and rape a child, you should go to the jail as compared to your age.
Oh, when you're 20 years, you go to jail for 20 years.
Yeah, you go for 20 years. If you are 50 years, you go in jail for 50 years.
Okay.
With no compromising.
Okay.
Anyone that will come into compromise, that person should replace the penalty in which.
Oh, I like this guy. When you try to compromise, you replace it.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening. Your name and where you calling from?
I'm Moses Esdoro, joining from Lower Factory, Bagabon County.
Moses Dolo, let's hear you.
Thank you. I listened to the topic and it's very unique. What I want to say is that, like the previous caller said, the government should put some mechanism into place about these girls, children that are making themselves, even the boys that are breaking their trousers down and what have you. So something can be done about that. As firstly. Two, we notice that most of the time, the girls have become so crafted in the whole raping issue that when they are having an affair with somebody, secretly the person will brainwash and they all agree that when it comes out, they go to the station, the girl will be the one standing there, even defending, say, I will never rape. If you say you bring the boy in, I'm going in jail with him. At the end of the day, somebody says that they compromise within the Bureau police station and what have you.
Somebody will say, put two of them inside, then.
Yeah, if you say you put in a man in, you will put me inside too. Even
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Let's go to the line and see who's on the line. Hello, caller. Hello, dear caller. Please don't hold the line or we'll move on to the next caller. Yeah, more callers on the line to make their contribution to the discussion tonight. Hello, caller. Hello, dear caller. Okay. Yeah, hello, caller.
Hello.
Yes, please tell me your name and where you calling from.
Hello.
Hello, please tell me your name and where you calling from.
I'm calling. Hello.
hello, caller.
Hello.
Hello, dear caller.
Hello.
Hello. Hello, caller. When you call, you give time. Some of the time, the line can delay. So if you keep calling, you will not hear me. Is there any caller on the line? Hello, caller. That was a female. I regret losing on the line. She can call back, Hello, caller.
Hello.
Yes.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Go ahead.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm hearing you loud and clear.
You need to get in time. The line is delaying. Hello, caller. Good evening, caller. Okay, so call us on 0772 876481. Let's go on the line. Hello, caller.
Hello again.
Yeah.
Once again, this is Alfonso E.S. Kampala. I joined this conversation again for my resident. I just want to make a recommendation very quickly as to relate to the same topic on a discussion. I can remember in the days during Madaseli first term, they used to have people in the street. Only after those people who are walking in the street bare naked. And also those are used to start and just walking, they don't have pride for themselves. I can remember one time I was coming for school, at that time I was still in grade school, AME Zion. Coming for school, I saw a policeman have a girl arrested. The way in which that particular girl dressed, that dress code, and we're now shooting with the policeman desire. Okay. So they have that girl arrested, and we asked, why you arrest the girl? I said, see the girl in the street, the way she dressed, she don't represent woman or leader or staff or who. Okay. So we have to put maternity into play.
Alfonso said we should be arresting people for their dress code. Yes, hello?
Yeah, I'm doing a master calling from Sokine.
Okay, Masa.
Are you hearing me?
I'm hearing you.
I'm doing a master calling from Sokine. Thank you for the discussion. I really appreciate you all this evening. I really appreciate you all this evening. Concerning the topic on the discussion, the discussion on the rape. About rape. I'm a victim. I'm a victim as a parent. I'm a victim as a parent, and it still traumatized me. And it still traumatized me today.
What happened to you quickly?
I did not. I did not say such a far away where the court ruled the case of my stepdaughter in the year 2021.
Okay. Look, we hearing that the court, according to you, did not rule your case the way you wanted it. But your line is quite difficult. Try and call again. Hello, caller. Hello, dear caller.
Hello.
Yes, good evening. Please tell me your name and where you calling from.
I'm calling from the Somali Drive.
Nangbe, let's hear you.
Yeah, my brother. I'm very much excited. Listen to you people. Listen, you're doing, and I like the topic you guys are dwelling on. You see,
The guy was saying that one of my friends quoted and said, if you don't want for the fish to smell, you shouldn't, I don't know the end, but our girls these days, the dress code is not appropriate. The way in which they dress. So I'm begging you people, you guys should stretch on the water. Yeah, because it calls for those guys to be running after them and doing a kind of a rape and thing.
Okay. Okay, dress code.
Hello?
Yeah, good evening. Tell me your name and where you calling from?
I'm Mr. Samuel Blackwood calling from Peace Fire. But I'll call you to tell you a situation I think for me on the phone. Our brother in our bush there is working on their finding nothing.
No, that's not what we are discussing, sir. That's not what we are discussing, sir. Unfortunately, we're discussing the rising rate of rape and other forms of abuse against women. Hello, caller. Please tell me your name and where you calling from.
Yeah, calling from Kokura Patrick.
What's your name?
Ibrahim Kamara.
Ibrahim Kamara, let's hear you.
Okay, I think the topic is very important and it's very, very important and interesting. I believe that this topic should be something that you all the time so that people can know. Okay. And it should be limited to anybody, whether poor or rich. If you rich, you should pay the consequence and be able to pay penalty. Don't matter if you give money and you live and you do free. No. Everybody that whosoever rip, that person should pay the penalty.
Okay. Anyone who rapes should bear the full weight. Next caller. Hello, caller. Hello, dear caller. So we're having a difficulties there. But call us 772. Yes, hello. Your name and where you calling from? Please tell me your name and where you calling from.
Hello?
Hello, your name and where you calling from?
I'm Nunu Bro. I call you from Sano, Greenville.
Okay, bro from Greenville. Let's hear you.
I am Nunu Bro from Sano County, Greenville.
Let's hear you.
Okay, thank you very much for this. You get it right. I'm already happy is that I really enjoyed the program tonight. It's a fun issue to discuss. But the first question is that, hello?
Go ahead.
When you talk about rape, at this time, Palestine, the rape issue needs to be on the increase. But let me tell you something, my brother. These children these days, these late children, these late girls this week, when their parents are talking to them, even when they say, why in our country, when they say, why ain't your car enter? Don't let go when you see them on the street. So when each time they go, when the parents talking to them, say, oh, Papa, they think I must say, they rape, no rape, are big enough. And you yourself too, when you look at it, you say, what can I get talking to the kind of thing? My brother, go to the hospital and see. Why people who talk about rape, why they can't ask you get into who pregnant you?
Okay.
At one point.
Okay. Okay. Yep. Yes, we got more callers. Yeah, hello. Please tell me your name and where you calling from.
Yeah, my name is D. Saturday Zoga, and I call you from Buchanan, Bassa County.
Hey, Zoga, how's Buchanan tonight?
Yeah, Buchanan is cool.
Okay, so let's hear your contribution.
Well, thank you very much for the program, and it appears in my mind like this is what LBC are going to discuss. The issue is I want to blame portion of this act on parents.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for which I'm saying this is the way parents are dressing their children today. I know people may say dressing does not matter, but it matters. Because traditionally our people, the way they dressed, it didn't give, rights for anyone to go after them. But just over the little break, they were babies, 10 years old, 12 years old. You dress them just for 26 and you give them money to go and they are drinking liquor all over the place. And once the kids are intoxicated, anybody can control them.
Okay.
And this is what happening to our children.
Fabian was talking about influence, so liquor business not come again. So yeah, let's go to the line and see who's there. Hello, caller.
Hello, how are you? How are you doing?
No, I'm good. And you?
Okay, I will say hi to you and Fabi this evening for this topic on discussion.
What's your name?
It is very unique for we the parents who have their children. By the way, I'm Sylvester, the Marita recording from Buchanan, the post city of Grand County.
All right.
I'm monitoring you because I always play ERBC for important programs, at least that will educate us.
Okay.
And I differ with people who say dress code. Because if you say dress code, the 3-year-old child and the men are raping. Babies that are 9 months, 1 year, 6 months, that the men are raping. They do wearing short clothes.
10%. Oh.
I would say no.
Okay.
Those things are men that just play evil against those children.
Okay.
So according to what one of the quarters said, if you are 20, go for 20 years. If you get over 50 years, if you rape
with Julie according to your age. Okay, so let's go and pick this one. Hello, caller. Caller, are you there? Oh, we have to move on. Time is running against us. Hello, caller.
Hello.
Yes, tell me your name and where you calling from.
I'm here. I'm the same person here calling from Sokine.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, as I was saying, the court, they have obsession that they can compromise cases, rape cases, because I'm a witness. I'm a victim as a parent. My stepchild was a victim.
That's your view.
When these rape cases,
that's your view.
Because when the rape is involved, and they know for high profile Christian party,
you have to move away from
the you're trying to follow the talk back. You're following the talk back and it's becoming a problem. I also want to say that no, we don't have evidence that the court did compromise a rape case. So if you're not happy with the court case ruling, normally what you do, you take an appeal. I hope Fabian can support me on that.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, you take an appeal.
Besides, she already said it. At least you should have used the word alleged. This is something that.
Yeah, so let's see you on the line. A lot of noise behind you. When you call, you move away from the noise. Hello there, caller. Hello, caller. Let's go to the next one. Let's see who is there. Hello, caller.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, your name, where you call from, and let's hear you.
I'm calling from Lima County. I'm Gay Copy.
Okay. Let's hear you.
Yeah. I want to ask a question.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking about rape case.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the discussion about rape case. I want to ask this question. In case you come across a case that 10 years old child raped 2-year-old baby, and what can you do in that case?
You're talking about a minor raping almost a toddler. That is, I don't know what the court can say in that instance, Fabian. Do they go for rehabilitation or what exactly do you think can happen?
The perpetrator, the alleged perpetrator in such case, when arrested, is being brought before the court.
The guy is saying the perpetrator is age 10 and this kid is...
They have juvenile, they have courts for juvenile, yeah.
Court. Okay, so
at age 10, obviously, you know that person can talk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
we're taking our last few calls before we go through the discussion. I just wanted to bring that up. Hello, caller.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, your name and where you call from?
I'm Kelvin P. Bryant, calling from Banga City, Pond County.
Kelvin Bryant, let's hear you.
Yeah, firstly...
we lost you, Kevin. Let's take the final one.
Hello,
caller. Your name and where you calling from?
This little boy here calling from Springville, Sano County.
Yes, you called the second time.
I was saying something like There's somebody was talking about the dress code. With dress code was in school in Monrovia, there was a police fellow they called Tulu. Tulu used to beat those guys because of the short dresses. But this time it's not going on. I'm brother, if you see somebody the other one the dress, you see bar. You see what anybody can wear anything they're wearing. But these things are not called for. These are some of the things that are encouraging people to do rape, to be.
Okay, that's the last one for the night. Okay, so let's give this a giveaway. What's your name and where you calling from?
I'm Mohammed Kroma calling from Sophie.
Mohammed Kroma, let's hear you.
Yeah, we talk about rape, but I just want to say that we have to look at two ways from two dimensions. Some of the cause derived from the parents. Some of the way they dress their children to mistake them, and some of the way they dress the children to the children to take those traits. And something like what Color said, in the street, some of our elderly women, if you see them dress about, you not even want to look at them.
Okay.
One shirt trouser and show their stomach, all of those nonsense, and then they have drink all on their cars. And they say too, men have no right to rape a woman. Let's assume it is your sister, your auntie, your daughter. When you feel happy, but you can also do sometimes some women when they hit you, they set a trap for you. Some of the people they say they rape that they did not actually rape the community, they hit them and put a jail for nothing. So I want to suggest that when so they're accused of rape, they should investigate before jail. Some people just lie.
Okay. Some people just lie, straight lie. Okay, so that's the last one for the night. It's been a good engagement with all of you. Fabian, Koto, you all been listening. I know we have always said leave this thing about because of the way the person dressed. That's not an excuse or justification. Somebody saying, should we be running after all of the underage pregnant girls to find out who impregnated them and charge them for rape? All the ones who are 8 and 10 years old, we should go to the hospitals. Just start looking at all the hospitals and finding out who are pregnant here, who impregnated you, your age, and all of it. Fabian, you listen to these, or maybe we start with Koto. Is Koto stay with us? Is Koto still with us? Fabian, is Koto still with us? Oh, you're not seeing her.
Okay, yes, she's in.
She's in, okay. Okay.
Oh, she's...
Okay, well, I hear she's
just
in and out. Okay. But you heard the different colors. What do you pick up from the colors from your end?
Yeah, there are several colors that are said, or some of them attributed to dress code, and somebody differ with the colors that talked about dress code, saying they should blame a portion of the act on the parents, and we had somebody that differ with that. And another thing, some of the colors said based on your age, that was so interesting to me. For example, if you allegedly rape a 91-year-old woman and been found guilty, you should go to jail for that.
91 years.
For 91 years. That was so interesting to me. But all in all, the colors did give their opinions concerning the issue that we discussed. And I see that a lot of them really have that piety in their voices, decrying the increase of rape across the country, and toddlers, minors are all being allegedly raped, and they see that as not being something good. But again, in these cases, in such case, you have people with diverse views. Always you have the pros and the cons. And as I said, they all spoke by way of their opinions. And so you cannot judge anybody for their opinion, because if that isn't in your case, probably you say things another way. But then if it's in your case, you have some sense of belonging that victim that the act was committed on could be your child, could be your relative. And so you wouldn't want to support that. So most of the colors that talked about the dress code, that people should watch the dress code, and even talked about 12, 13-year-old girls getting pregnant. Why aren't people going after them for that? Instead, they're going to people being 13-year-old and being underage and having pregnancy, A lot of parents wouldn't want to support that, especially for that age. They wouldn't want to support that. But again, we have youngsters or teenagers, not even below that age. You find them carrying pregnancy. Tony, you can attest to that. You find so many kids in the street, being pregnant. And so some of them, if it happened to them, they feel that they're maybe at the age they shouldn't abort, and parents will tell them, don't abort. Some will say, keep the pregnancy, I will take care. But I think all in all, the issue about rape is something that is very serious in our country. And we think if we can maximize that, I think we should minimize it, because that's some everyday activity. That's how we describe it. And it's becoming so bad in our society.
Indeed, it is quite prevalent, and every speaker tonight had something that they put forward, and with their views. I mean, for example, it is true that if you're talking statutory rape and you're talking about age, then you ask a question about all these young girls, especially, you see all around, pregnant here, pregnant there, having a child here. It's a societal problem. I think there is a need to pay attention to ensuring, for an example, right today, upbringing appears to be a difficult problem, because in most cases you find somebody who is aged 10, 11, 12 is already even taller than the parents. They're not listening anymore. They're doing things on their own. Some parents, yes, would encourage it. Some parents are like, they should faint, but the children would do it the way they want. Of course, they will go to school. You would not be behind them, right? They would go to the market. You will not be behind them. It's a whole big societal problem that we all need. We only look at the guy who is being complained that this guy tamper with my child, rape my child. But all these people, you see the child, you know clearly they are 12, they are 11, they are 10. So who do you hold accountable for that? They go to hospital. Of course, the hospitals won't turn them away because they are there to save lives. You don't want to tell the hospitals, any person who is below 18 and comes here pregnant, don't accept that. No hospital is going to accept that. So it's a whole, I will call for a national discussion on this. What can we do? This is a societal problem.
Holistic approach?
Yeah, a holistic approach. It's not just all about punishing. Go to police station, grab people and put them in jail and all of that. Can you imagine somebody's going to stand and tell you, the parent, don't waste your time. He's my boyfriend. I mean, if you put him in jail, you must put me in jail first and the rest of it. That's a kid. You know, you really don't know what to do. So again, it's a societal problem. I think everybody should come together. Social workers should come together. Health workers, civil society. We all should discuss and find a way to handle this situation. I tell you, the population of those who are going to court for rape is far lower than the number of people the young people you see with children. Fabian, honestly, go in the rural areas, for example. It's a very normal thing. so normal in the communities. No, but a child is 12 and they have the kid. You will see a child 12 have twins, and you start to wonder, when will you have food for yourself to eat before you have food for these children to take care of them? And in some cases, see the people who are responsible for those pregnancies. That's where the frustration comes. The guy cannot afford. His parents cannot afford. He himself has gone nowhere. He's made no progress. So this child has just decided to make their future doomed. This guy had nowhere to carry you. He had nothing to depend on, and you put yourself in that situation. You start there. By the time you become 18, you probably have 5 children already.
Wow.
Yeah,
that number is huge.
But it's happening. It's really happening. You see some people who are like around 17, 18, they got 3, 4 children already. You can imagine. The experience is not there. The resources are not there to do what you need to do to
one
keep
day
yourself.
It will be there.
Yeah, so I mean, it's been a wonderful show tonight. I think you said we're not getting caught, so we're going to have to end here. Would you like to say a word to our followers, our listeners, before we go?
Yes, I just want to thank everybody that called in tonight. We had a good number. of people calling in, females and males, giving their views about the topic under discussion. And that was good. Tomorrow we'll come up again and have our guests here. But again, what I want to say concerning the topic that we discussed tonight is that when people are being hurt or traumatized in this case, I think all they need someone, they need a shoulder to just hug on. Counseling will be best for them. Having counselors counseling them while they are going through that traumatic scene, and that will once again have the spirit reawaken, and they will be lively. So in that instance, I think when the victims are being carried to safe homes, and there are counselors there, by counseling the victim or victims, that means their hope can be restored. And so we pray for that, where we'll find people doing that so that they won't have that shift in minds as they grow older by the day, or that fear or insecurity.
Thank you very much. Like we always say, an American president said before, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. In the voice of our own leader, the president of this republic, President Joseph Numa Wakai, let us think Liberia, love Liberia, and build Liberia. Tomorrow evening, 8 o'clock, we'll be back here again. Thanks for joining us on Nightline Liberia, and thanks to all for tuning in. Have a wonderful night. Thanks to all for tuning
The Department of New Media and Rebranding of the Liberia Broadcasting System presents Nightline Liberia. From the valleys of Liberia to the top of Wologisi Mountain, Nimba, Grand Cape Mount, River G, to the coast of Sino, Bassa, Bong, Riverses, Maryland, Margibi, Grand Cru, Bapolu, Grand Jide, and Monserrado. We present to you Nightline Liberia, a primetime talk show loaded with factual news, fresh information, not fiction. Nightline Liberia. We set the tune. We control the airwaves. We are the nation's pride, the biggest platform. Our panelists are some of Liberia's brightest and best political analysts from diverse backgrounds, like Vandela Patrick, Dr. Lester Zumatic Tene, Al Hussein Fadiga, Sansin Brown Tour, Daniel Sando, and Eugene Lamin Fangon. Nightline Liberia begins at 8 p.m. with 60 minutes around the country, bringing you updates from LBS correspondents. Nightline Liberia's final segment kicks off with its panelists and pundits from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. as they propound on trending national issues. Nightline Liberia. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country.
When we work together, there is nothing we cannot overcome as a people. This is why I ask all of you, representatives of our people, to join me to do the business of the Liberian people by not doing business as usual. I challenge you to join me to think Liberia, love Liberia, and build Liberia.
It's Nightline Liberia every Monday to Friday beginning at 8 p.m. on ELBC Radio, 99.9 FM, and other frequencies around the country.